Hi guys, Debbie here. Welcome to today's video and to my channel if you're new here. Today we've got a super exciting one. I've got a palette by a brand that's new to me, not new to the market of course, but they're a British indie brand and that's Sample Beauty, as you know from the title. And we've got the Prodigy palette dual tone edition. So if you want to see what this palette looks like inside, see an eye look with it and my first impressions, please keep on watching. Okay, so this is the palette. As I say, it's in a slipcase and then the packaging inside is the same as the slipcase. You've got all of the ingredients on the back and it is cruelty free and vegan. You have a mirror inside the palette and this is really my kind of colour story. As soon as I saw this, I had to pick it up. The brand has got a number of other palettes. None of them really spoke to me. They just weren't the perfect palette for me. They're either too big or too kind of monochrome of one colour. I don't know. There was just nothing that really spoke to me. But this one is just stunning. You've got so many different options in here and quite a few formulas as well. So you've got 12 mattes. You've got a couple of just like normal shimmers, or 3 I think normal shimmers there. That gold shade, what's that one called, Beryl, looks like a super foiled gold, but these shades look really interesting. So Diaspore and Moonstone, these two, I'll put them up close so you can see actually, but they're like a duochrome kind of shifting topper. They're going to be stunning. And again, there's lots of different shades from light to dark in here, which really excite me. You've got your neutrals, but you've got some colour, you've got some grungy tones in there and some dual tones. Just think it's super, super pretty. So without further ado, I'm just going to have a play with it and create a look with it and see what I think of the formula. Because as I say, this is the first time I've tried anything from the brand, so really excited to do so. We are going in with a newish eyeshadow base. I've tried it out before. I did film a video last week. I just didn't like the way that I looked in the videos, so I decided not to post it. So I have tried this and it is really, really good. So it's the Sigma eyeshadow base in the shade Persuade. I know a lot of people use Ignite, but this shade is a lot more similar to Painterly Paint Pot by MAC, which matches me better because I've got quite a pinky tone to my skin. So it's literally my skin tone. And I think if you're just cancelling out your redness and veins, which is kind of what I wear a base for, then this is the kind of colour that I want. So it was pretty much of a bargain because it was in the sale on Beauty Bay as well. So that kind of persuaded me that this was the shade to get. But it is really, really nice. As I say, a little bit pinky tone. So if you're not got a pinky tone to your skin, you probably will think it's too pink. But for me, it works out quite nicely. Okay, so my vision for the look then. I'd like to do something that echoes the colours that are in my top, maybe in my headband as well. And I want to try out one of these duo codes, probably this one. It reminds me so much of the shade that's in Subculture. I think it was called Electric, something like that. The greeny one that's in there anyway. It reminds me so much of that. So I'm eager to use that one. I think I'm going to start the look with Tourmaline. So going really, really dark. And I want to try some of these like more grungy tones over here as well. So something a bit different to what I normally do, because I do tend to stick to the more colourful shades when I've got a colourful palette. Like my eyes are drawn to these, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do something a bit different, I think. So I'm going to start with Tourmaline and I'm just going to stamp that in the outer corner and onto my lower lash line as well. So give me that guideline that always helps me when I'm trying to wing out a shape. I think this is going to be one of those quite buildable formulas, like it's not horrifically pigmented off the bat, if you know what I mean. Like sometimes they can be too pigmented when you first put them down. This is like it's pigmented, but I think you can build on it, so not too scary if you were going in with a dark shade like this. And it's not as dark a colour as it would maybe suggest in the pan, which I know some people don't like that. But it is a pretty colour. I don't want to take it too far, because that's what I always end up doing, ending up with my shadows going super high, so I try not to do that today. But I do like to go higher than my crease so that I've got plenty of lid space to play with. So hopefully that kind of shape will work. There's a black in the palette called Obsidian, and I'm going to use that to really intensify this outer corner in a moment because I want it dark and smoky in the outer corner. But to start with, I'm just building up a bit of this Tourmaline, and it's building up really nicely. I've only dipped in the pan a couple of times and I'm getting quite a nice lot of pigment. It's a beautiful colour. I'm going to swap to like a bullet shaped brush just so that I've got a bit more control of where I'm putting that shade. I only want to go to about the middle because I want to have plenty of space to bring some of the shades in. I'm just going to work on getting that shape how I want it to be, because I want a kind of faded sort of winged out shape there. So it almost like fades into nothing. I'm just swapping brushes, just a more flexible brush just to allow me to really get that to blend out just on that outer edge. I've been enjoying taking my shadows sort of beyond like my natural kind of line, like normally would stop there, but like really taking it out at the moment. On the odd occasion I have worn makeup, which has not been very often just lately. And I'm just going to start building up a bit more pigment in this outer corner, and as I say, I will add some black to further bring some drama there. I'm always excited when there's a black in a palette. So I'm going to go into the black now, Obsidian, and just really use that to intensify that outer corner. That black is pitch black. Can you guys see that? Wow. It's pitch black, but I'm not getting any fallout at all. That is a really impressive black. Wow. That is literally the blackest black I think I have in my collection, I'm not gonna lie. Can you see that? Wow, I love that black. And then back in with Tourmaline because I just want to just make sure we've got it blended as much as we can with that Tourmaline shade. I just use the black really just to get a bit more intensity in that outer corner. So I'm just using the circular motions just to blend that black in with the Tourmaline shade as much as we can. I'm going to use that yellowy orangey shade Heliodor, I think it's pronounced there. I'm probably butchering that name, but we're going to use that one to blend above there. Just taking a very, very small amount of that. I just wanted something just a little bit interesting. Just going up towards my brow there and not just stop with that colour. That's an interesting shade. It's a yellow. It's not an orange, it's not really a bright yellow, but it's, yeah, I like it though, it's different. And I think it's added a certain something to the look. Loving how this is coming out so far. Next we're going to go in with Appetite, and I'm going to take that, sort of following that line there, and I'm going to blend it out with the shade next to it, which is Demantoid. Unusual names, I think these are names for gemstones, but I'm not that well up on gemstones to know. I'm just going to stamp that on for now. Don't worry about blending that, as I say, in a moment. I just want to get some pigment down, and don't worry too much that it's gone on my lids because we're going to cover that anyway. The formula of these is pretty dry, like there's no kick up at all, but there's quite a lot of pigment. I'd say medium pigment, like they're not crazy pigmented, but they're building on each other really, really nice. Like you can layer it and get full opacity quite easily, but they blend really easily and there's no fallout, so of the shades I've used so far, and I mean, you don't find a black that doesn't have fallout that's as pigmented as that very often, so hopefully I've not taken that up too high, and we'll have room for the Demantoid shade to go above to blend there. Trying to use a few different colours, but to do something a little bit different that I don't usually do. So for this shade I'm only taking a very tiny amount, and I'm doing a kind of circular motion. This is a Morphe E36, a very, very tiny brush. Just going to go back in with that green, that Appetite shade now, just to make sure that that's still strong. Bit of backwards and forwards between those two shades, the Appetite shade and the Demantoid shade, which is the khaki green. Love that khaki green. Every time there's a khaki green kind of colour in a palette, I have to use it. I just want to make sure that everything's as blended as we can above that green, but I don't want to add any other colour, so I'm just using a brush with no additional product just to blend there. Deliberately left this front portion because I want to wrap a shimmer around. In with the trusty NYX glitter primer, just going to prime from the centre to the kind of inner part of my lid, so just from where the black starts to there. I'm not putting a ton of that down, I just want something to grip the foil shade, because foils always perform better over a glitter glue. Right, we're going to go in with the shade Beryl now, the gold foil shade. I just want to see how foiled that really is. That's intriguing me because how it looks in the pan, it looks like it's going to be super foiled. Ooh, I think it's a topper shade, you know. It's not quite what I thought it was going to be. It's quite a flaky sort of toppery kind of shade, but super, super pretty though. It is flaking a little bit in the pan though. Try and show you what I mean. I don't know if you can see that, there's like little flakes coming off in the pan. I think this is definitely the sort of shade that would perform best over a glitter glue. I think you'd have a job to get that to adhere without, but it is beautiful. Just going to work to just get a little bit of a blend between that and the black, which is going to be tricky, but we're going to try. Using that brush we used that had no additional product on, we used a moment ago, I'm just going to just blend that gold into a crease because I don't want this to be a cut crease, and I quite like taking my shimmer slightly into my crease. I just think that definitely helps with blending it into the crease to actually bring it up a little bit into the crease. So you can use the shade Dyer's Pour, if that's how you say it, to go all the way around here. Oh, that's stunning. Again, it's very, very flaky and difficult to pick up on a brush. I'm going to try spraying it. Yeah, that's quite difficult to work with. It's very flaky. I'm not really one of these people that is used to working with duochrome flaky kind of shadows that I say. But it's a stunning colour. Just going to see if I use my finger, if that would make a difference. Yeah, instantly. You've got to use your finger to get the payoff from that. Look at the difference. So that's what I've done in that eye to this one. Yeah, so if you want to get the shade payoff for that, it's definitely one of these shades you've got to use your finger for, which is very tricky into your inner corner where I'm putting it. Well, I've decided on a change of tactic because that's not completely opaque and you can see through it. It's definitely a topper shade. I'm going to take that Appetite shade onto my lower lash line, and then I'm going to top it with that topper. That's definitely working better because it's got a base to shine off of as such. You can see the colour way more over the top of something. That would look stunning over the top of a black, I think. It's incredibly beautiful though. I think I'm going to bring this down just a little bit so it just sort of splays out in the corner. It looks like little mermaid tears almost. Okay, so that's the look to this point. Just going to hop off camera, put Happy Me by Linda Hallberg in my waterline, mascara on a lip, and I'll come back to you, show you the finished look and give you my thoughts on the shades I've used so far and kind of my first impressions of the palette. Okay guys, so here's the finished look. And for lips today I've gone with an Anastasia liquid lip. This one's in the shade Lava. Never used this one before, I've had it for a long time. It's part of a Neutrals bundle, the Dark Neutrals bundle from Anastasia's website. And just wanted something super deep with this look and dramatic. What's new? That's what I always like. Onto the palette then. Well, I had some struggles to be honest. The mattes are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I found those so easy to work with. Like that black, that obsidian black. To be that excited about a black, I know it's just black, but that was just like black as coal without any fallout at all. Such a good formula of a black. That shade as well, what's that one? Tourmaline. That's super beautiful, and I think it worked really well with these shades that I've used it with here, and they all blended so nicely with no fallout. So super impressed with the mattes. That gold shade, so Beryl, I expected it to be like that super wet kind of foil, like hyper shiny foil, and it's not. It's more of like a flaky formula, almost like a topper, but you can build it up. But it took a little bit of work to do that, even over NYX Glitter Primer, which I don't normally struggle to do that. And that one, Diaspore, it's what's in the inner part here. Absolutely stunning shade, but again I did struggle because it's very, very flaky. It's difficult to pick up on a brush. On your fingertips it's easy to apply, but then when you want to get into your inner part of your corners there, if you want to use it where I've used it there, that's very, very difficult to do. It'd be alright in an inner corner where you could just sort of go like that, but if you're putting it on your lids, that's a bit of a downside for me for that one. But I think something like a silicone or sponge tip applicator might work. I just don't really have many of those, but in retrospect I think that would have been a good idea. I've not of course played with the traditional shimmer formula. You've got 3 of them here, and then you've got a couple of shades. This one and this one look like satins, or they might be mattes with a little bit of sparkle, as I say, so I'm eager to play with those. In terms of like the colour story though, as I said at the beginning, I just think it's a really special colour story because it's dark and grungy, but it's also neutral. And it's just got something a little bit different and special about it. And in a sea of palettes, and I've got a lot of them, it's not often that I find something that I go, oh, I really think that's different in my collection. It's kind of what I wish the Urban Decay Born to Run palette had been, you know, with lots of different types of tone in it. That one's very neutral with just a couple of pops of bluey green. This one would be more the sort of palette that I could do lots of different diverse looks with. But it's in such a nice packaging. Like, it's slim. Let me just try and show you. It's cardboard. It feels quality. It was £20 for 21 shades, so less than £1 a shade. I think it's a really interesting palette, and I think although it's a little bit quirky to use, you're going to have to be quite patient in building up those topper shades, the duochrome shades. I think it's worth it though. I think to get different kind of textures in a palette, to get mattes that blend as well as this. So you've really got mattes, you've got satins, you've got traditional shimmer shades, and you've got 3 of these kind of toppery, kind of glittery duochrome shades, 2 of which are duochrome, one's more like a solid gold. So, you know, you've got lots of variety in the palette. So I'm kind of interested to pick up one of their other smaller ones now, like the Hydra Graphic, I think it was called, the blue one, because these work really well, and yeah, I'm pretty impressed, I have to say. So as I say, pick mine up on Beauty Bay, and they also are available on Sample Beauty's own website as well. So if you're overseas, it might be cheaper for shipping, one or the other, so it might be worth you just having a look, you know, who offers the best rate for international shipping. But as I say, if you're ordering from Beauty Bay, shipping is free over £20 in the UK, so just cost me £20 to get the palette, and for that I'm really happy that I picked it up. So I probably will be doing some more looks with it, because it's the sort of palette that speaks to me. With a multitude of colours, I can see so many different looks in this palette that I want to do. So hope you've enjoyed watching, guys. I'd love to know down in the comments if you've got anything from Sample Beauty, if you're planning to pick up the Prodigy palette. I'd love to know. And if you're not subscribed, I'd love to have you subscribe to my channel. I do first impressions like this, but I do lots of tutorials and throwbacks to older palettes as well, so it'd be lovely to have you along for the ride. But I hope you're having a lovely day or night, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!